10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good golly, Miss Molly. Welcome to Cult Comedy Crew, our first live stream of 2024. And we thought it would be nice to do a Cult Comedy Crew. And we're going to take you on a ride through the quirkiest corners of comedy. So, hey, I'll get that YouTube thing out of the way. Hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up, share out the stream, all that good stuff. We passed 1,300 subscribers on the channel recently and 176 on Rumble. So thank you, everybody, for your continued support. It's who knew we'd ever get to even that point with this obscure, crazy stuff that we do on here.
And there's much rejoicing. Yeah.
Yes, there was loofahs everywhere. There was rejoicing. But yeah, thank you for that. Today we're going to go back to the Britain of the early Britain of the early 1980s. Margaret Thatcher has just been elected. Punk is still raging, and it's anarchy in the UK. And a new generation of comedians was rising, not part of the old Oxford and Cambridge thing that the Pythons were. They were not part of the light entertainment that was still dominating TV sitcoms.
We saw it on MTV here in the States. I don't know where you saw it. But,
well, we're going to talk about that for sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And a huge frontrunner in this new alternative comedy was a group of guys called the Comic Strip, guys and gals called the Comic Strip Troupe. And one of their shows that came out of that was The Young Ones. So I am your host, that 70s rock fan. And today we're going to dive deep into this anarchic sitcom, which launched many careers and probably killed a few too. So welcome, everybody. Let's cue the laughs. Hello to my esteemed guests, panel, my friends. Imperatus, how are you, sir?
Doing pretty good. Can't really complain. Did get a foot of snow over the weekend, but, you know, that's the joys of living in the Northeast.
Well, indeed. What's a little bit of snow? We've had very little snow here in Alberta.
That was the first snowfall we had all season, and it dropped a foot on us.
All right.
And more coming on Tuesday.
Get out there and dig for victory. It's good to see you, though, mate. Thanks for being here. Joe, my friend, from Joe's Atmosphere, how are you doing, sir?
Good. I'm at the beginning of that cold front that's causing that stuff that Imperatus is talking about. I had to fire up the generator for the first time this year and get some gasoline and get prepped because we got some bad weather coming up from the Gulf with this front coming across, and they say we're going to have 80-mile-an-hour straight line winds and possibility of tornadoes. So it's a southern winter as usual.
About 40 mile per hour winds up here too. Like, Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So. Well, I hope that doesn't go too badly for you, mate, because I know the storms you can get down there are pretty bad.
Yeah.
So. Take care.
But it'll be fine. Warm. We're used to it.
Good.
And I've got a generator this year. I don't have to worry about power outages and shit. So.
Nice. I hope it's solar powered so it's environmentally
No. You just heard me say I had to fill up gas cans today. So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Good to see you, though, mate. And also welcome our dear friend, John Das Wolfen. How are you, buddy? Oh, apart from muted.
Apart from the fact that he has got mic problems as he has for the last couple of weeks.
We can't hear you.
Yeah, it's driving him nuts. Sometimes he
You'll be
kicks
back.
out the cord. He'll be fine. He'll figure
Well, we
it
can
out.
see you, and it is good to see you, my friend. It's always good to see you.
Yep.
Let's check in with the chat, though. Thank you again, everybody, as I say, for your continued support of the channel. We've got some fun stuff planned in the next few weeks. And thank you so many of you for turning out for today's show, because I thought this is going to be a really obscure one.
This is one of the few foreign comedies that I watched. So, yeah.
Foreign, like, you know what I mean? Foreign. Yeah, didn't
Well,
you kill
foreign
my
from the
brother?
States. I mean, you know.
Didn't you kill my brother?
I'm a huge Monty Python fan, you know, but that's one of the few that I watched outside the States. And this one, I watched this one quite a bit too.
Yeah, so greetings to our mod and friend D-Bud Martin. Vivian, you bastard. Putin's cat has never heard of the show, so he's going to have a miserable time today because he doesn't know it. Southern Viking, good to see you. Who else have we got? Purple, the lovely Purple Valkyrie is here, who's welcome to join the show because she's a Brit, so she'll know what we're talking about. D-Bud obviously is here. David Glenn, good to see you, sir. The wonderful Davina Duckworth, our resident egghead and fact giver, provider of facts. Christian Delorme is here. Good to see you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. How are you?
We can hear you just fine, buddy.
Cool.
Barrett Ed's here. Sheep shagger, indeed. See, sheep shagging, it's you don't get that fatal attraction thing going on. Sheep can't handle a knife. So, super chat from that wonderful friend of ours, Christian Delorme's Vinyl Revival. We're doing a Rush show on the 17th, I think, on Christian's channel. That'll be fun. $5 Canadian from Christian. The Who's squeeze box is not an accordion. It's also a metaphor because she wears it on her chest and she goes in and out all night. So for you, we have some clips. So thank you for that, my friend. Let's play. What have we got for you that would be fun? Oh yeah, this one.
Would you say I have a plethora of piñatas?
A what?
A plethora.
So thank you, Christian, for $5. Hope you enjoyed that new clip, new to the show. We will be talking eventually about things like Only Fools and Horses. I'm trying to rotate around, like last we've done Canadian, we've done American, we've done British. Came back to British today. We've got another couple of ideas lined up for this show, but eventually we'll tackle Only Fools and Horses. Daddy Never Gets No Rest because it's in and out and in and out. Read by Nature's here. Jules Holland was indeed in the show musically. Although I don't think I've got the full version of that Subterranean Homesick Blues. Stuart Copeland was in that band as well. That was on the show there. Don't have that in my montage, but we have a montage. Papa Cotton, this isn't a bad show. It was funny indeed. Dustin, keep it simple. Benny Hill, we would definitely do. We might need Mad Martigan to rescue.
Oh yeah, you're gonna need Mad Martigan a lot on that show. Yeah.
So good to see you all. Thank you for being here. Yeah, we're going to need Mad to cover up if we do Benny Hill.
Oh, yeah. My
My
man definitely loved the upper female form. Yes.
Benny Hill was a much more... There was that stuff, which everyone remembers, but he made some really clever jokes too.
Oh, yeah.
Which
Yeah, absolutely.
Tend to get forgotten, I think. But today... we are talking about the young ones. So what is this show? Where is my automobile? What is the show?
It's a bunch of dudes in a flat in Great Britain.
So let's take a look at some of the factoids. The Basics, British sitcom about 4 hapless students and their Russian landlord at Scumbag University, which I always thought was hilarious. Scumbag University. And Adrian Edmondson and Rik Mayall were at the University of Manchester together, so I suspect they were referring to their own experience. Broadcast for 2 seasons on the BBC, total of 12 episodes, 1982, 2 seasons of 6 each, 82 and 84. It was a response by the BBC to the introduction of, my God, gasp, a 4th channel in Britain, Channel 4. Gasp, shock. The BBC, and Channel 4 quickly, as we'll talk about later, picked up on alternative comedies. So the BBC felt it had to keep looking for that younger audience that Channel 4 was going to get. And as Joe said, eventually shown on MTV in the USA, which I did not know until recently.
Yes, that's where we watched it at in the States. Yeah.
Did not know about that. But it was made for MTV. It was the kind of show that really would work. It's all little sketches, there's music stuff in it.
Yeah, it was something new that they didn't really have episodic television on MTV at the time. It was still videos. They were still playing music. And yeah.
And launched many major careers, this show, not just the people in it, but some of the guests and the behind the scenes people. And became a landmark in alternative comedy, probably the biggest alternative, what they called alternative comedy, whatever the hell that means. Not old, I guess. Became a bit of a landmark in that. It did change a lot of stuff. It created a whole lot of new stuff that came afterwards. Very different style. And what was that style? Well, it was a sitcom, kind of masquerading as a variety show.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the reason that they made it a variety show or called it a variety show was because they had a musical guest every week. And the reason they did that was that the BBC gave them more money if they called it a variety show.
There you go.
They said, well, let's get some friends we know that are in bands and we'll get them to play and we'll claim it's a variety show.
There you go.
Slapstick, surrealism, puppets, even had puppets, anarchic, satirical, violent, very, very violent and very offbeat. Not quite like anything that had come before, I don't recall. But heavily influenced by the Goon Show, Peter Cook and Dudley Moore, Monty Python, hell, even the Three Stooges. Lots of that stuff. So they had lots of influences that went into it, but definitely mixed that up into something new. Lots of parodies in it of many conventional sitcoms, British ones, like shows like The Good Life, but it even parodied EastEnders, The Benny Hill Show, the Top of the Pops, Coronation Street, Dallas. Tons of parodies in there, hidden amongst all the other stuff. And it included these weird historical and surreal skits that had nothing to do with the plot, particularly. And then lots of musical guests. So very, very different show. I think we're probably, and I've got lots of clips lined up today because I think we're going to get away with them. So let's start digging into those.
Board!
Well, why don't we play a game?
Oh, boring!
No, come along. What about Botticelli, where you have to guess the identity of the famous person?
What about Jelly Botty, where you have to eat 18 curries?
So I'm immediately getting taste for the violence.
I'm telling you. What was that guy's name that had the stars in his forehead?
So let's take it. Yeah, Vivian
Bastard.
Vivian Bastard or Bastard. So let's take a look at the main characters. We're going to take a look at those. Then we'll go back and look at the sort of, as I like to do in these, where these guys all came from and how it led to this. And then we've got a ton of clips to show from the show. So four students, although they never apparently did any studying. I don't remember.
This guy is the one that had the one line that has always stuck with me over the years.
So
Rick, when Vivian's mom was on the show and he said, "So, Mrs. Vivian, how come you gave your son a girl's name?"
Oh yeah, I've actually got the full clip of that, and I only clipped the first bit for the show, which is when Vivian's introducing them.
Yeah,
which is this one.
This is a friend of mine called Mike. This is a friend of mine called Neil.
Hello.
And that's a complete bastard I know called Rick.
Named Rick.
So
Right.
Rick, the people's poet, faux anarchist, self-styled people's poet, studying sociology. Vivian burnt his sociology file at one point, which was quite good. Vivian was always burning stuff. Cliff Richard devotee, which was part of the whole joke of the show, because Cliff was the most establishment guy you could get in British entertainment by this time. So why a sort of fake punk new wave guy like Rick would be into Cliff was part of the joke. Apparently a vegetarian, not a vegan, that was Neil. Followed any trend going. You could see him twisting and turning
Yes.
to fit the trends. And a real attention seeker, and
Mhm.
in a symbiotic hate relationship with Vivian. They just couldn't get enough of each other, even though they bickered and squabbled.
Yep.
So Rick was with the first guy, all the badges, just to give me a laugh.
Mhm.
Brilliantly played by the late Rik Mayall. So R.I.P. Rick, who made such wonderful comedy shows after. I'll never forget his Flashheart in Blackadder. But such great comedic actor and writers. Passed away in 2014. So Rik Mayall played Rick. So a bit of a stretch calling Rick, but there you go.
Right.
Keith Flint from The Prodigy ended up looking like Vivian. That's true, Davina. So Vivian Bastard. Vivian Bastard.
Funniest dude on the show.
Yeah, crossover metal punk fan. He was really a metal fan, but he had a kind of a punk thing going on too.
Right.
A violent sociopath, I think, is the nicest thing you could say about him. Studying medicine, which is why he had a skeleton in his room all the time. Endlessly picked on Rick and Neil. Had a pet Glaswegian hamster called Special Patrol Group, or SPG for short. The Special Patrol Group were a notorious police squad in Britain that were armed to the teeth and very heavy. So and why his hamster was Glaswegian, I could never quite tell. And then that's Rick's follow any trend attention seeker. I should have removed that.
Yeah.
Vivian very definitely didn't follow any trends.
He was a punk rocker, no
other
doubt.
than beating the shit out of Rick as much.
Right, that's it.
So Vivian, played by Adrian Edmondson, longtime collaborator with Rik Mayall. And there he's with his lovely wife, Jennifer Saunders.
Wow.
Of French and Saunders fame. And she also makes guest appearances in The Young Ones, was in the comic strip, as they all were. And a bit of a musician too, at various points. But we'll talk about the music later. So student number 3 was Neil Pye.
The guy that was always looking for the lentils, man.
Yeah,
That's him.
who had a lentil fixation.
Yes.
Sow the seeds. We have to sow the seeds. Neil was a hippie because they were still around. Big time
I didn't
hippie.
know Great Britain had hippies until I watched this show.
Oh,
man.
yeah.
Ooh, too
Hippie,
much.
prog rock hippie.
Oh, God.
Studying peace studies. It used to be all the rage until things like gender studies came in.
Right.
Morose and put upon. But guys, stop picking on me.
Stop picking on me.
He has to do all the chores and is mocked by the others. In fact, Vivian explains in detail what the deal was about the chores. I think I have that clip somewhere. He goes, well, you said you would do all the chores. And I said I would look after the plants and the hamster or plants and the pet, something or other. And it ends up, well, what did we have for dinner the first day? Plants. And so they ate all the plants and the pets on the first day. In fact, there's the opening to one episode where the phone is ringing and you see Neil rushing back through the streets with the groceries, trying to get there. And it rings. Nobody else will pick it up until he gets there. I didn't actually look like Neil Smile. It's just the funny thing. I liked a lot of the music. I didn't look quite like any of them. Closest might be Vivian, I guess, except they didn't have the studs.
No, the look of each character told you everything you needed to know about them, though. They were perfectly done up in their costumes and everything.
So Neil, played by Nigel Planer, you're getting he's getting an honorary doctorate from the University of Edinburgh here, because they all used to hang out in Edinburgh a lot at the Edinburgh Festival, which had a big comedy festival. So these guys tried all this shit out at the Edinburgh Festival for years. I saw a lot of acts there. Not necessarily these guys, but I saw many, many other acts. So Mike was the fourth one, and it was a bit of a weird one. Could never quite get a handle on why this guy was in the shows usually.
Right? He looked totally out of place in this bunch.
So
really
Mike, the cool person.
Yeah.
That was actually his name in the show. Strangely old for a student.
Yeah.
Studying, who knows. Seemed to have a great relationship of a blackmail kind with the dean. He was kind of cool, calm, well-dressed, good with the ladies, always looking for a scheme to make money. Respected by the others. Like, occasionally they'd take the piss out of him, but not often. They always kind of tried to kowtow to him. And he was the adult in the room, generally speaking. Originally meant to be played by Peter Richardson of the comic strip, but he fell out with the producers of the show, and so they got this guy, Christopher Ryan, and who's all these guys are, other than Rik Mayall, are still with us, thankfully. Christopher Ryan wasn't a stand-up; he was just an actor that they hired for the role, really. So didn't have that comic strip background that the others did with the comic strip show they did. But there was a fifth main cast member, which was there was various members of the Bolosky family, all played by Alexi Sayle. Georgi Bolosky was the landlord of the dilapidated house they were in. There was actually two houses. I think the first one got burnt down or destroyed, and they had to get a second house. And then that meant they fought over which rooms. But he was a Russian, and Alexi Sayle played several other characters, as well as doing some music on the show. Like Dr. Martin's Boots was one we'll see later. But so yeah, that was the main cast of the show. Alexi Sayle, stand-up comedian. I've seen him live a few times actually back in the day. Quite political, quite hard-hitting, but still hilarious. So he wrote all his own stuff in the show and was a main part of it. Everyone thinks of the other four, but he was a big part because he was a big part again of that comic strip group that did all the live stuff. And excuse me, there's a great. I've got all my clips here because there's so many I've had to lay them out. This is where he described. This is not Georgi Bolosky, but one of his other siblings in the show. So while they introduced politics quite a lot to the show, there was a lot of political stuff. In those days, it was done much better because they could take the piss out of themselves too. So they were all fairly lefty, I guess, in their real lives, but they never discriminated. They would take the piss out of everybody. And I like that. It's like, Rick's all, oh yeah, comrade. He goes, where's my money?
Right?
Yeah. Screw that. Where's the cash? You know?
Where's the money?
I love the fact when Rick comes in there that he goes like this.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, good one. So that was the main sort of cast of the show. Just checking in the chat. So yeah, Mike was always a weird one. He does have one really funny scene I'm going to show later, but he was generally was so straight, so much the straight man. It was
he was the straight guy of the bunch, no
far
doubt.
too much, like.
But they all were. They all wanted to not really appease him, but they were. It was clear they aspired to have what he had. A successful guy. You know what I mean, kind of thing.
Yeah. So as Read by Nature says, Alexi Sayle had a radio show called Lenin of the Rovers, which is a spoof on the old British comic Roy of the Rovers about a footballer. So Lenin of the Rovers, yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, Mike's actor did appear in Bottom, as did many of the others, of course. So Thank you, everybody, for all these chats. There's some good stuff in there. Somebody mentioned French and Saunders. Yeah. Great. French and Saunders, extremely funny comedians. And of course, then they went on to do the Absolutely Fabulous and all that stuff. Yeah, Mike was plot exposition, someone to play against. There had to be somebody to set certain things up.
Oh, yeah.
So, but there is one funny scene I find with Mike that I always stuck in my mind. And let me get the videos here and we'll play it now. So there's the episode where Neil discovers that their table that they eat at is shrinking mysteriously. Oh, it's shrinking. And he's trying to nail all the plates to the table for some reason. And of course, they break these big nails. So
These guys were so bizarre, man.
Yeah,
wow.
Here's a little bit of that one.
Oh, yeah, great idea, Mike. Hey, guys, look, I've got something well scary to lay on you, okay? So, squat down.
Yeah. Squatting, right on, use control, no rent.
Right. Now, listen.
Neil, is it my imagination or is this table shrunk?
That's what I've been trying to tell you for the last 10 minutes, right? Strange things are happening in this house. Furniture keeps disappearing. Plates keep, like, moving about the place.
Viv knows why.
The table is shrinking. And last night, I found my guitar on the fire. Do you know what all this means?
Yes.
No. Yeah. It means we've got a poltergeist.
Don't be stupid, Neil. There's no such thing.
Don't be such a spasmo, Neil. Yeah, there's no ghosts, there's no God. There's a perfectly rational explanation for any kind of phenomena you might encounter.
Oh, yeah? Well, how do you explain the table shrinking then?
Well, I did that, actually.
Yeah, you see, I was right. It's the poltergeist. It's making him float.
Ah! Get a priest! Get a vicar! I believe in God!
Never mind a priest, call an ambulance.
Why, Mike?
I've just nailed my legs to the table.
So he did get one funny sequence. That one always stuck in my mind for years. That nailing his legs to the table. He nailed his head to a coffee table. No, that was a Monty Python joke.
Oh, God, that's funny.
Straight guy, everyone else was gay. So that's...
Oh, man.
Yeah. So that was these guys. The show, although it was a pretty early example of alternative comedy, it did came about... let's move on here. Give me a second. So actually, it started with... Well, Rik Mayall and Adrian Edmondson had known each other for years at university. They'd been friends since teenagers. But the Soho area of London, if I go back to Soho, which if you've ever been in, it was a fairly seedy place at times. There was a former private members club and strip club in Soho called the Gargoyle Club. And they decided, the guys that owned this decided to put on a comedy night because for some reason, comedy performers and strip clubs went together in Soho. And it's true, they did. They were always appearing in the same places, yeah. And they would say things like, yeah, I don't mind the naked women that are serving at the tables or whatever. But
no biggie.
So they opened this club called the Comedy Store in Soho in May 79, just after Margaret Thatcher had won her first general election. And one of the groups it was an open mic kind of thing, gong show thing, where people would get booed off or shouted off, whatever. And it really became the birthplace of this alternative comedy and alternative cabaret setup. And at that time, Mayall and Edmondson were doing a double act called 20th Century Coyote, but later billed as the Dangerous Brothers. And Planer and Peter Richardson were a double act called the Outer Limits, and they all formed, along with Jennifer Saunders, Alexi Sayle, Don French, this and Arnold Brown, who I've seen live, the guy in the middle, the short guy.
Okay.
They formed this group called the Comic Strip, and they kind of made their reputation in this Gargoyle Club comedy store. But they decided that they wanted to kind of go a bit more upmarket and formed their own troupe called the Comic Strip. And they went upmarket by going to the Raymond Review Bar, another but better strip club. Paul Raymond, who owned various nude magazines, decided to go there and put on a specific show called the Comic Strip in the Raymond Review Bar once a week or twice a week or whatever. And this the comedy store that they appeared at, it kept going, and you got guys like Paul Merton and Ben Elton, Keith Allen, Joe Brand, even Mike Myers performed there in these early days. So there was a bit of a burgeoning scene there, and they actually formed a comedy store in America. There was a couple of places in America. The British one then sort of graduated to this much more upmarket and better boobs Raymond Review Bar. Others that were included in that group that we saw earlier would be guys like Robbie Coltrane in his early days, Keith Allen, Arnold Brown. And they ran for 2 years doing this show in the Raymond Review Bar called the Comic Strip. Made lots of different recordings of that, some of which exist, and we're going to show in a minute. But Edmondson and Mayall did this Dangerous Brothers act, which was basically just them hitting each other for 20 minutes. In fact, we have a little bit of that. So let's see what those guys looked like at that time. If I can find the damn clip.
Almost got the same hairdo.
Yeah.
Knock, knock. Who's there? Open the door. Open the door. Open the door, please. I want to come in. Open the door, please. I want to come in. You just open the flopping door. Just open the flopping door. What?
So just basically 20 minutes of hysteria.
Sounds like the old Cheech and Chong thing. Dave's not here.
There's a lot of influences there. You can see what became the Rick and Vivian of and carried through into other shows like Bottom and Filthy Rich and Cat Flap. There's that dynamic between the two of them, you know. I showed that to my wife, by the way, and she said, "What a lot of garbage." So it's not to everyone's taste. But the other grouping that was in the comic strip that had done an act called The Outer Limits was Nigel Planer, who became Neil, and Peter Richardson, who was originally meant to be in The Young Ones. And they had this comic strip that was much more surreal and quiet than that act. And they had stuff like a sketch about a metal band getting back together and stuff like that. It was a little bit more laid back. And we even have a clip of those guys.
I'd like to do a couple of numbers for you.
So he's doing Neil already in this.
Off my latest demo tape. Never mind, they're both pretty short, okay? This first song is sort of about a big depression that I had. Kind of half an hour ago. It's just kind of how I felt about it, okay? I probably won't be able to remember the words or anything. Right. This song is called Hurt, okay? And it goes like this. Okay. You ready? Yeah. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
It goes on like that for 5 minutes. So Neil was already in his act, Nigel Planer's act at this point. This is before the young ones. So they kind of had the whole basics of it going. As Davina said, the Dangerous Brothers, two low-life loser perverts hitting each other in spectacular slapstick ways. It was arguably more hazardous than much of the material which was to follow in later incarnations. One of the early TV sketches, World of Danger, went wrong when a stunt to set fire to Edmondson's trousers left him with serious burns, but they left it on the broadcast version. You see, they really took their art seriously.
Seriously enough to injure themselves.
Seriously enough to injure themselves, yeah. So those the basis in the comic strip of all of those what was to become that act was Become the Young Ones was already there, and it ran for a couple of years as a live act, toured Britain and Australia. But then Channel 4, the new Channel 4, sorry, Alexi Sayle was the compere of the comic strip shows. He would do the MCing and some stand-up. So, shock horror, Britain was introducing a fourth television channel, Channel 4, in 1982. Woohoo! Look, we have to get a new TV with a fourth position on the selector, you know. And they were keen to get into this younger audience and this alternative comedy stuff. So they started talking to the comic strip and Peter Richardson in particular, about who was kind of the leader of the troupe, about doing a TV show. And that eventually did become a show on Channel 4, which first night of their broadcast, they put the first edition of this television show, and it was called The Comic Strip Presents. And it had all the people that were in that, plus a lot of guests. And it was the Young Ones, people were all in this too. And each episode of that was like a spoof or a parody of something. And they also made a couple of movies, Supergrass and Eat the Rich. So they really, the BBC was threatened by this. They said, well, we're going to have to get... Oh, sorry, I should say our great friend Christopher Moonlight is here.
I was fixing to say, I was wondering if that was him or part of the background.
Hey,
what's going on, man?
How are you doing?
What up, Boos?
One question for you. Hands up, who likes me?
Rick.
This is the perfect live stream for me because I am an American in Texas who was a young lad in England, and this is one of the first shows that I loved as a kid, and I've always loved, and I've got the whole collection here. I also have a copy of Bad News somewhere. You'll probably talk about that at some point.
We're going to be talking about them later, yeah.
And I am constantly blurting out Young Ones quotes. Nobody has any idea what I'm talking about all the time, except for my wife, who also I introduced to the Young Ones.
Right.
But we love Rick, we love Vivian, we love Neil and Mike, and I've watched these episodes so many times, and also just get Alexi Sayle, like Chetzy the landlord, like. I made the mistake of walking into work one day, just going, "Hello, boys, it's me, Chetzy, your landlord."
Nobody gets it.
I was like, never mind.
Yeah.
But thank you for having me. This is, I saw you were doing this show, and I got really excited.
Great to have you here, mate. Absolutely.
And of course, my oos, Joe's Atmosphere. Great to see you again, buddy.
Good to see you, bro. Good to see you.
Yeah. So as somebody mentioned in the chat, I think it was Smile Likes, that a lot of big names from the American comedy scene came over to look at the comic strip stuff and the Comedy Store, like Robin Williams and many others. As I say, Mike Myers actually worked in the Comedy Store for a while as well. So that crossover was happening. It's just why a lot of these guys ended up doing things like guest appearances in American shows like SNL and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Robin Williams was a big supporter of all these British comedians and British comedy. Yeah, I like this. It's called sort of delicate blend of psychology and extreme violence.
No kidding.
That sums up the young ones.
That's it.
So the comic strip troupe were doing really well. Lots of spin-offs were starting to happen. BBC reached out. Initially, Peter Richardson was part of it, and then he dropped out because he didn't like the. He kind of fought for control with the producer and with Rik Mayall a little bit. So it really became a Rik Mayall, Adrian Edmondson, Nigel Planer led thing. And they got around to filming it pretty quick. And the first episode of The Young Ones went out just a week after the first comic strip presents on Channel 4. So you had these two groups that were at the same groups, really, on two different stations with two different shows at the same time, which is pretty cool if you were into this stuff like I was, The theme song, so the Young Ones, well, where did that come from? And a lot of Americans might not know this, but it was really a spoof of
Rik Mayall's favorite musician.
Rik Mayall's favorite, the king of rock and roll, Cliff Richard.
Oh boy.
He was obsessed with. And Cliff was a real establishment figure by this time, albeit he was the original hit British rock and roller way back in '56. The great song called Move It. But like Elvis, after the rock and roll stuff, he moved into movies and then went into light entertainment, TV shows, whatever. And he was like the queen mother of rock and roll by that time. The name and the song were based upon the Cliff Richard movie of the early 60s called The Young. Interestingly enough,
sorry,
shouldn't be afraid. Shouldn't be afraid. Interestingly enough, they filmed that on the one day of summer in Britain that year. That clip.
The one day of summer. Huh?
They were very lucky, So Cliff, the British Elvis, and to be fair, Cliff's still with us. I mean, God knows he must be preserved in aspic or something. He's like 900 years old.
He made an appearance with them, didn't he? On one of the comic relief things.
So whilst they were kind of taking the piss out of him when they did the comic relief charity stuff, Cliff and the lads did a live stage performance and then a record of the old Cliff hit Living Doll, with the guys being the backing singers and Adrian Edmondson shredding some terrible guitar. So he was a good sport, Cliff. Hank Marvin of the Shadows, the great guitar player, was on that too. So they did team up for a comedy charity thing. So Cliff took it well. And why not? I mean, yeah, they were poking fun of him, but it's not like they maligned him that badly. But that was the whole... It was a neat thing to update that early 1960s thing to be, well, now we are the young ones kind of thing. So,
and here's a question for you. I've always wondered, this is something I never looked into, but Rik as a comedian, creating the character of Rik kind of as a precursor to being on the Young Ones, he would go up and read bad poetry dedicated to Vanessa Redgraves, and I have no idea if that's a fictional person or is that actually somebody.
Vanessa
Redgraves, she's an actress, very well-known one.
English Shakespearean and movie actress, Vanessa Redgraves, and incredibly Marxist in her real life.
Oh yeah,
which is worth. She got the piss taken out there too, but yeah, she's been in a lot of movies. I'm trying to think. She was a baddie in a movie, and I'm trying to think of
one. I want to say she won an Academy Award for a film called Julia. And whenever I talk about the Academy Awards and how everybody gets up there stumping some political thing, back when she won it, she was speaking about something political. I can't remember what it was at the time, and she was booed off the stage.
Yeah, she was hardcore.
Sure.
And it's just funny because, of course, whenever I see Rik in the Young Ones, I instantly think like he would be in this day and age the perfect send up of Antifa. Like he's just that kind of like Marxist twerp, and he would even say that in interviews. He's like, I'm just accessing my inner twerp.
He's right on.
Yep.
Yeah. Whatever cause is going, he'll.
Whatever's going, he's in it. Yeah.
Vanessa Redgrave's from a famous British family of thespians. Michael Redgrave is her father, and then there's the other Jolie, not Jolie, is it Jolie Richardson's her daughter, and stuff like that. I might be wrong about that, actually. But anyway, there's a family of them. They were all stage Shakespearean actors, whatever. I'm trying to think of the movie Vanessa Redgrave was in, where she played a villain, like a Secret Service.
Hang on, I'm going to pull her up real quick.
Yeah,
it's just funny because you can find on YouTube the early, like there are recordings of Rik Mayall on stage, like trying to be a like a hipster poet, going up on stage and like just, you know, all the things that a Marxist would do, like yelling at the crowd and glaring at people, and you know, you don't understand my poetry. It was really fun.
He's the people's poet. I'm trying.
Gosh, people's poet. Is it really you? Sorry.
Oh, Red. I think it was the movie Red. She might have been in.
Could be.
She was a villain in some action movie not that long ago. It was a bit of a surprise.
Well, she's in. I tell you, the one that I always remember her in, because I love the franchise. She is the person trying to get the knock list in the original Mission Impossible.
Oh, that's maybe what I'm thinking of. Yeah, that's right.
She is Max. She's the codename Max girl in it. Yeah.
But to be fair, a lot of her work she didn't. There was, you know, she didn't let her politics bleed into the work. I mean,
not really. No.
Yeah, and she can act, which is
she's really good at it.
Yeah, and that's another thing I liked about the young ones, though, because there was social commentary in it. And Ben Elton is a pretty old school Labour guy, right, who wrote a lot of this. He never failed to poke fun at his own stuff.
Oh, yeah.
He would poke fun at the socialists, the communists, the Marxists, the people like Rik. He never failed to. There was equal opportunity slagging going on.
I love the episode. I mean, I love all the episodes, but I love the episode where they think they found oil in the basement, and then Mike becomes El Presidente.
I think we have a clip for that. Hang on. Yes, that's a great one. Mike becomes El Presidente. I've even got the audio of it. I don't know if you could hear that.
No.
No, hang on. Audio. Oh, yeah. Audio stream.
Viva el Presidente!
Vivian is his secret police.
Yeah, he's the secret police, and Neil and Rik are the oppressed people, and they hold a benefit concert in the living room with Alexi Styles to raise money for an uprising. This is the ridiculousness of this show. I love when they're playing hide and seek, and Vivian goes to Narnia, and the White Queen is there. What's your name, little man-child? Vivian!
Vivian!
Would you like a Turkish delight? Not particularly. Got any babs?
I was pretty sure I had that clip because it's hilarious because Vivian starts beating the shit out of Rik on the floor.
Oh, man.
Was that the one where they like fell through the ceiling on the bed and they actually did the stunt? They had
They did all those stunts for real.
Rik was saying they were on the bed getting ready to get dropped from the second floor, and he turns to blanking on Vivian's real name. And he turns to him and he just goes, I think we might die. He just turns back to him and goes, good.
I don't know.
You can tell I'm really excited about this show.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Just to follow up on Vanessa Redgrave, both her and Jason Robards won Academy Awards for the film Julia back in 1978.
Yeah. I'm just looking for that clip. So they find oil in the basement, and Mike declares himself El Presidente, and he wants Rik and Neil to do the digging. Oh, why have I not got that clip ready? I thought I had it. Brother. It's such a great clip.
I feel like I could recite the entire episode verbatim. It's like I love these so much.
I haven't revisited it in years. Of course, what year did it come out, guys?
1982.
Now, when did it come to the States? Do you know?
85.
85. Yeah, I was on Johnson Island when it came out.
It was just on the tail end of when I was moving to America. We were staying in a rental house. My dad had sold the house, and he was what was he doing? He was doing some recordings with Michael Schenker Group, and so I was home with the telly and it was just I remember we were packing up, and it just came on, and so I didn't get to see all the episodes, but when it came to America, I got really excited because I was like, oh, it's my show.
Yeah, get to watch it again. Yeah.
When you're a little kid, you don't get all the innuendo. It goes over your head. You just see the puppets and the craziness. And then, as you get older, you're like,
yeah,
oh, my parents let me watch this.
That was me watching Saturday Night Live, the original Not Ready for Primetime Players in the late 70s. That was me. I didn't get all the jokes, but I knew they were having a good time, and I wanted to watch it, man.
Hey, when you're a little kid, the Killer Bees and Land Shark they just
they're awesome.
Street.
That's it.
I'm really disappointed that I had that clip of El Presidente and Vivian beating the shit out of Rick, and I don't know what I did with it. I can't find it anymore.
I like when he hits him with the pickaxe, and he's like, "I'm sorry, Vivian." He's like, "That's quite all right." Yeah. And he dies.
Right. Yeah, Vivian never seems to get mad when you hit him.
Yeah, he can take it as well as this.
Yeah, he's tough.
Hell, he hit himself more often than anybody else.
I mean, he's got 4 stars blasted into his forehead. Come on, man. The guy
he's had his head knocked off and lived through it.
Right? Yeah, I do remember that.
I mean, you think about all the people that appeared on this show as well that were unknowns at the time, but Emma Thompson, Robbie Coltrane, they would just have bit appearances.
Yeah. French and Saunders, Hale and Pace, Stephen Fry and Hugh Laurie, who we'll be seeing a bit more of later. Mark Arden, Jules Holland, Mel Smith, Griff Rhys-Jones, who were very popular at the time. Terry Jones was the only Python, and we have a clip of him later. Chris Barry of Red Dwarf, and Norman Lovett, who went on to be in Red Dwarf.
Oh, and of course, the musical numbers. I think I probably discovered punk rock through the young ones by way of The Damned and their appearance.
Yeah, and I do have a whole montage of that stuff to play. So Lenny Henry, David Rappaport, Robbie Coltrane, Emma Thompson, they were all in there. Tony Robinson. It was a who's who of new British comedians, Mm-hmm. The young ones was where they got it from. The producer was a guy called Paul Jackson, who was the guy that really went to bat for the show, really wanted it to be on the BBC. And he went on to do a bunch of stuff as a producer and director, things like Red Dwarf, stuff like that. I had a list. But I don't know what I've done.
It's funny because it's such it's a logical progression of other comedy, like everything from the Goon Squad to Monty Python, and then you get this kind of the same ludicrous humor, but in a new subversive way, like a new way of doing it. It's kind of interesting that you mentioned that Robin Williams was so supportive of him, because you think about it, it's like Robin Williams is probably the only successful transition into an American version of that kind of zaniness, because most Americans don't get it. They, I've showed it to other people and they're like,
well, it's just something about British humor. My wife doesn't get it.
My
she
wife
doesn't get Monty Python or any
Canadian,
of that
and she doesn't get this at all either, mate. Yeah. So Jackson, Paul Jackson went on. Yeah, he went on to do. He's actually done the Two Ronnies, which was a long-running British comedy double act. Very funny shows. The Pythons used to write for them. They had a long-running variety show. But after this, Red Dwarf was one of the major things that he got going. So amongst a ton of other stuff. So kind of launched bigger careers for some of these guys too. Behind the scenes, and one of the directors was Jeff Posner, who went on to do, he's still with us, did Little Britain, which is a great show. Harry Enfield, he's worked with him for years. Victoria Wood, who was a very funny woman, and French and Saunders. So he got into some major comedy after this too. And then third director was a guy called Ed Bye, seen here with his wife Ruby Wax, American comedian who's popular in Britain or has been for many years. he went on to do Absolutely Fabulous, Vicar of Dibley, French and Saunders, stuff like that, and Red Dwarf. So it kind of spawned a lot of behind-the-scenes careers as well, you know, because it was a hit. In terms of
British
writing,
television is a small world.
it is,
but it's chock full of talent. I mean, they really, in that way. I mean, it was very gate kept, but the gatekeeping really worked in terms of just getting the most refined talent.
Yeah, I mean, it worked that way. It was a small industry at this point now of 4 channels, but before only 3. So that's why, like, when the Pythons went to the BBC, never expecting to have their proposal for a show granted, the guy said, "Oh well, I could only possibly give you 13 episodes." It's like they weren't expecting anything.
Right.
It's such a small thing, you know. Like, oh yes, you went to Oxbridge, of course you'll get that, you know. But these were the main. Alexi Sayle wrote his own stuff, but these guys, Rik Mayall, his girlfriend at the time, Lisa Mayer, and Ben Elton were the 3 main writers. With Ben Elton hugely contributing, I think. You can tell the Ben Elton stuff because you can tell the same writing in Blackadder and other shows after that. Ben Elton's style was developing. And they even aped Blackadder, they aped the single name title for the shows. The weird surreal bits they'd put into the young ones, they'd put it into Blackadder too. A lot of that sort of violence and aggressiveness. So Ben Elton's got a very distinctive style, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So they were the 3 main writers. But Rik Mayall's girlfriend, Lisa Mayer, went on to be... They split up eventually, but she went on to write another show I love called The Fast Show. It's a British comedy show called The Fast Show. We're going to do that one day because that one's fantastic. And she also worked with Dennis Leary. She was American and worked with Dennis Leary on No Cure for Cancer. So she had a bit of a background.
Love Dennis Leary. Love him.
She ended up with married to Angus Deaton, who's another famous British comedian, TV presenter. But Ben Elton, major part of this, huge figure in the British comedy industry, and then lots of musicals like We Will Rock You and stuff. Still around, churning stuff out today. Mega successful. Brilliant writer, one of the best ever. Yeah, and as Christopher said, the guests, tons of guests on the show, which we're going to take a little look at some of them. Let me just check I got that right. So yeah, but here you see the cast in their full glory. The setting of the house. All sitcoms have to have a good setting. Theirs was this shitty house with the shitty table and the shitty kitchen.
And a big pot of lentils.
I remember they were so cold that's why Vivian was burning shit, of course, but Rik would open the fridge door and warm his hands on the fridge. It was so cold. There was dirt poor, except for Mike, who always seemed to have some cash.
And you could tell it was the first house. They blew it up.
Yeah.
But you could tell they were also, in addition to being comedians, theater geeks, because their house was haunted by Rosencrantz and Guildenstern.
That's right. And they'd go through arguing with each other, wandering as ghosts with the heads as well. They go the heads arguing.
I don't mean to alarm anybody, but I think we have a poltergeist.
The poltergeist, yeah. It was a haunted house, and then all these surreal sketches would be thrown in, which had nothing to do with the actual show. I've got a couple of examples. Here's one featuring Chris Barry, and it's about the Victorian Navy.
Transported for life to the colonies. And for what? Scum I was to that beak. Nothing but scum. It's for my accent and my situation that I am condemned. 'Tis for the want of better graces and the influence they bring that I am to board this prison hulk.
And for all them murders you've done.
Aged and toothless and bent old crone.
How do you know my name?
We wish to engage you as ship's cook and concubine.
Oh, yeah. What's a concubine, then?
It's a small, spiky mammal.
Oh, that's a hedgehog.
Oh, well, in that case, we wish to engage you as ship's cook and hedgehog.
I mean, it's got nothing to do with the rest of the show. And there's another one, which, if we're on that same vein, with Robbie Coltrane, sadly departed us not so long ago as well. This is The Elephant Man was a big play and movie, of course, at the time.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Human beings the size of amoebas.
Here's your afternoon tea, Dr. Carlyle.
Thank you, Janet.
Oh, Dr. The 9 o'clock news is here to see you.
Is he? Well, I'd best conceal this sticky bun by placing it precariously on the edge of this box.
Dr. Not the 9 o'clock news is the character, which was a show, a TV show, not the 9 o'clock news.
Prepare yourself, sir. I have a patient outside whose deformities are so grotesque that you will question how the Almighty could suffer such a blasphemy upon his earth.
Calm yourself, Doctor, not the 9 o'clock news. We are men of science. We fear no worldly terrors.
Pray remember, sir, he is human. He is a man.
It's an elephant, Doctor.
You unfeeling bastard, sir. Sorry. Hoped that perhaps he might understand.
I am an elephant, you know.
That's from Bambi, the episode that has, I think it's Bambi.
Bambi goes crazy, ate bonkers.
Yeah, that's from Bambi, yeah, that one.
Yeah.
It just like
one that has Motorhead.
Yeah, well, we'll be getting to that later. But Bambi's one of the great episodes, yeah. But that Doctor Not the 9 o'clock news, you know, and Tony Robertson there, Tony Richardson, Tony whatever from Blackadder, later in Blackadder.
I also like the skit at the beginning of, I think it was Flood, where there's a medieval trial in their backyard.
Mm.
Do you know your crime? Yes, I do. What be that crime? Being Scottish and Jewish, two stereotypes for the price of one.
That's Arnold Brown. Yeah,
the best deal in the graveyard today. Perhaps not.
That's Arnold Brown. He was quite funny. I did, as I say, I saw him in concert a couple of times. Very droll. He did this thing where I was walking down the street the other day and I walked past this door and it said, "This door is alarmed." And I said, "Well, I'm glad because I'm scared shitless myself." You know, that kind of joke. Just, yeah, that was Bambi was a great episode of it.
Bambi, because that had Emma Thompson in it because they were doing
University Challenge.
University Challenge, yeah.
Well, why don't we get to that then? Actually, I will in a minute. So they had little clips like this was the party and someone gives them a tampon. He says, "It's a telescope with a mouse in it." It's the one where for some reason Vivian had a complete skinhead. Yeah.
He made a drink and he drank it and it blew his hair off.
That's right, yeah.
And it's just he sees the ladies and he's like, "Want to see me do push-ups?"
Yeah. So Bambi, the whole Bambi episode was about they got invited to appear on University Challenge. Now, I don't know what the American name for that show was. It's a student.
Don't remember there being a challenge show like that in America.
There was two. Yeah, there was an American version. It was college something or I don't know. But anyway, the British University Challenge ran for years. Two groups of students from different universities quiz show. So here they are: Mike, Prick, Vivian, and Neil.
Prick, yeah,
and representing Scumbag College.
I do remember this, yeah. Vivian spelled with Y's only.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, actually, there's for the ladies, there's Chris Barry. He's not in bad shape, you know. But yeah, he guested in some stuff. And I want to go to the. Oh, here we go. So this is some of the guests: Stephen Fry, Hugh Laurie. Emma Thompson, Siobhan Redmond, and Robbie Coltrane. So these guys all appeared in the show. Ben Elton in the middle. This was from a different comedy, but they were all regular guests on The Young Ones. And then you had in the Bambi episode Hugh Laurie.
Wow.
Who was in Fry and Laurie at the time. They had a comedy thing going. later became some famous TV star. I don't know. But,
yeah, might have been on a little show called House, maybe.
And then Robbie Coltrane with the elephant. They got a real elephant as well. So.
Robbie Coltrane, man. I always remember him as the Russian in the Bond, Pierce Brosnan Bond movies. Yeah,
with Minnie Driver singing in the background. Yeah,
that's right.
He was. He would show up in different roles. He was the bouncer in the roller rink that Mike set up in Rick's room. And I mean, the show is so random. They must have had a pretty big budget for this show too, because they were always they brought in a lion tamer and the elephants and just crazy stuff happened. It must have cost a fortune.
Lion Tamer was the only episode they didn't have a band playing.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it still allowed them to qualify as a variety show because they had a lion tamer on.
That was, I think that was Flood, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it was the last episode of the first series.
Yeah.
And he had his little hamster was out in the flood, and the shark came along. It was like, I'm going to eat you, and he saves himself by pretending that it's Jaws. He's like, I've seen you in all your movies. You're great.
Yeah. Terry Jones was the only python to appear in the show at the funeral. In the funeral one, Nasty, the show Nasty. And in fact, we have the clip.
Fuck, it's a bit early for that, isn't it?
Oh my God, you're right.
Oh, better get some of this down before I have any of that stuff.
Right now, oh, yes. Ashes to ashes.
Funk to funky, we know Major. Tom is a
I've always loved that bit. Funk to funky.
That's awesome.
Just what he would
say.
Man. So Terry Jones made an appearance. And lots
Terry
of
Jones is great. Monty Python. Yep.
Awesome. But yeah, the whole Bambi bit was really good. It had some couple of great moments with the University Challenge thing.
Should start every live stream with everyone on the panel just going,
oh man,
yeah.
Too good.
I think your picture's frozen, Christopher, unfortunately.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I thought you were doing that on purpose.
Tell you what, I'm gonna hide you and bring you back.
I love it, man.
Okay, we still can't see.
Guy introduces him as Prick, and he goes, what?
Yeah. But in the bottom row there, you've got Hugh Laurie, Stephen Fry, Emma Thompson, and Ben Elton.
Awesome.
But it was because the Young Ones guys weren't from that Oxbridge thing that the Pythons and others were. There was a bit of a setup there, like they were kind of saying, "Yeah, you guys have had your day.
Mm-hmm.
It's our turn now." You know, scumbag college. But, yeah, that was a good one. Let's see. Oh yeah, I know what I was going to talk about next. So we could go over every episode, but they were all great, and I've tried to pick some of the best bits from videos here and there. But there was a lot of one of the key components of the thing was the music.
Yeah.
So a lot of great musical guests, and I'm just about to play. We talked about the theme. Just give me a second. I think we've lost Christopher. Is your voice still working, Christopher?
I am here.
Okay.
I can see myself moving on my end.
Oh no, you must be good. Yeah. So yeah, there's another the absolute degradation of their lives,
dude.
Which was the life of a student, I guess, if you were poor, like.
Right.
Yeah, so they did that Cliff Richard. Music was a big part of the show. But they did the Cliff Richard spin-off where they did Living Doll. It was a big hit for charity. Then Neil had his album, the very heavy
Hole in My Shoe.
Neil's heavy concept album.
Heavy concept album.
And it actually had some real prog rock guys performing on it as well. It had a real great set of guys, mainly from the Canterbury scene in the prog era. All great musicians, but yeah, Hole in My Shoe does it. He had a hit single with a cover of the Traffic psychedelic era classic Hole in My Shoe, which I believe I have a tiny little clip of.
And all that I knew was the hole in my shoe, which was letting in water. Letting in water. What? Frank. Great joyous overflowing, and everyone was having a really good time. Except me. I'm turning into a video nasty. Oh no, look. Can we have a little less smoke, please? Now, this is all getting too commercial. Oh no. Can we start again from the beginning?
Start again from the beginning. That was a major hit in Britain.
Was that actually top of the pops?
Yeah, it was top of the pops. Yeah, number 2 in the charts. I've always loved the original, but I think Neil gave it a great go. But here's a great picture of Lemmy with Adrian and Rik backstage at Glastonbury, because Bad News, we will talk about them. They weren't a Young Ones spin-off. They were a spin-off from the comic strip show. Same guys, but strictly speaking, had nothing to do with the show The Young Ones. We'll talk about them in a little bit. But Lemmy, of course, and Motorhead were one of the musical guests on the show. And here's a little selection of those right here.
Welcome to the house of fun. Now I've come of age. Welcome to the Lion's Den. Temptation's on his way. Welcome to the Elephant Rush 11. I want to do when I was 7. Hey, catch a horror train. A freeze frame gonna drive you insane. There's nothing big about it. Well, Johnny simply makes my day. Let it all calm down.
Yeah,
that's some good musical guests, man.
Yeah, the Ace of Spades one's brilliant as well. It's a great clip. I love the bit there. Rick's trying to steal the newspaper, but
yes.
Vivian stuffs the whole sandwich in his mouth and then flicks a V at the concession person who's cracking up at him.
Yeah, she's laughing her head off there. That was the one they were trying to get to the train to get to University Challenge. Because at the beginning of the episode, Neil was so put upon by them that he forgot to tell them they'd been selected, and they had 2 minutes to get to the station.
They go to the laundromat.
That's right. And they're trying to swat up on the train. They've got like 1,000 facts about something or other. They're trying to read this book to get answers. But yeah, there's some good clips in there. There was Dixie's Midnight Runners. Were they ever a hit in America?
Yeah, we had.
Come
on, Eileen.
Yes,
Come on, Eileen. Yeah, they were on the show. They did some comic strip stuff too. Madness were on the show twice. Jules Holland had a band on the show as well. I didn't have a clip of that.
There was Madness was in the pub they went to, and Rick asked him, "You know Cliff Richard?" And one of them just goes, "You say it again, I'll kill you."
Shame. What a shame. Poor Cliff. But yeah, music was always fun. Looking forward to the Damned there, a group called 9 Below Zero, who I liked at the time, R&B group. There was a few others, but I didn't have those clips. But Neil had the spin-offs. But Alexi Sayle did some stuff on the show, and then later had, not connected to the show, but had a couple of hits as well. Most famously of which was Allow John Got a New Mouta, which I'm definitely going to play. Oh, here it is. Definitely going to play a bit of that.
Hello, John, got a new mouth. Hello, John, got a new mouth. You go to make a mess in the carpet. You go to make a mess. Hello, John, got a new mouth. Hello, John, got a new mouth. Hello, John, got a new mouth. They put me in a special hospital. They put me in a special hospital. Is there life on Mars? Is there life on... He can't hop play the bongo. He's got a record by Billy Joel. He's got a record by Billy Joel. Them lots jokes are easy. Down you motor. Hello, John Garney motor. Hello, John Garney motor.
Just insane.
He's
And then
the
he had a
unsung hero of that show. Like I
Oh,
said, when
yeah.
he comes in as Chetzi the landlord in, well, first of all, he's the vampire in Nasty, and then in Flood, he comes in and sees Coca-Cola, symbol of free West. He drinks it and becomes the axe-wielding homicidal maniac.
That's right. Like Smilex says again. That's one of the lines in that song. They're so good. I keep tropical fish in my underpants. Keep tropical fish in my underpants. He's an Avon representative. He's just random light in that.
He just
comedy.
really put himself out there. He's like, because that kind of stuff with almost anybody will not work, but he sold it. But you have to go all out for it.
I was fixing to say, yeah, that's the key. You got to go out all out for it. It doesn't work.
You do. Then he did Didn't You Kill My Brother, which was a much more sophisticated dance mix if you hear it. But Didn't You Kill My Brother? But then he did it as like a Scottish accent or something. It was weird. Because it sounds better in Cockney. Yeah, didn't you kill my brother?
Well, he's got that look too, and he knows it.
Oh God, yeah. So he had a bit of a musical career as well as Neil. Hello, John. Got a new mount.
That's funny.
It's great stuff. Yeah. Now as we say, it wasn't necessarily a spin-off. It was a spin-off of the comic strip, but it's the same guys with Peter Richardson instead of Christopher Ryan. So Peter Richardson's the drummer, I think. So Bad News. Now, these guys were a little bit unfortunate because they actually released Bad News on the comic strip. Their first appearance was a year before Spinal Tap.
Really?
Although they were in production at the same time. So they kind of had their thunder stolen a little. Although, to be fair, Bad News went more for a hair metal band, which was hot at the time, spoof, as opposed to Spinal Tap were like a 70s
The
traditional
frilly
metal.
pink ears. Oh my God.
Yeah. So, what was but there's a track of theirs I love. I'm trying to remember the name. Is it Warriors of Genghis Khan?
Oh wow!
It's a great record. We look it up on YouTube. Warriors of Genghis Khan. The video is brilliant. Spin-off of the comic strip. We're going to do a whole show about Bad News one day.
You can't forget their rendition of Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yes, with Brian May actually played on it, and he played all the bad solos. Like he mangled them all. But the Colin, that was Dennis, Colin Grigson, Spider, Eight Legs, Webb, and Vim Fuego. At one point, Vim Fuego dies on stage, and so it became the Colin Grigson experience instead of Bad News, because one of them dies. Here they are with Iron Maiden, Jimmy Page, and Brian May.
Wow.
Because they played gigs. They played support gigs to Iron Maiden. They did their own tour, and they played festivals like Glastonbury and Reading. They got bottled off. Rick's character's busy hitting the bottles of piss off the stage with the guitar.
What is it with comedians and music, man?
I don't know.
I mean, they love each other, basically. They really do.
I really, just speaking of comedy, what is Bruce Dickinson wearing? Because he always had the worst taste, the most unmetal taste.
It looks like a 14-year-old schoolgirl school uniform. Or some kind of weird scrubs, you know. Courtney's trying to get in. I did send you the link, Courtney. Twice, in fact.
Am I still frozen?
You are the invisible man, bro. You are the
you.
invisible man.
I can see myself.
We can see that little yellow border around where you're supposed to be when you speak, and that's it. You are completely transparent, my brother.
So, music was a big part of the show. I like the fact that, let me just hide this on the stream right now. I like the fact that each episode was trying to do something different. They changed the intros as well to try and do different stuff. Like the episode Nasty, I got a video of the intro to that. I think it's a really clever one.
Oh, it's fantastic. I just realized Das Wolfen's here. He's been small this whole time, so I just see a little white dot. Sorry, man. I didn't
Yeah, the intros, they were trying, there was so much in this show. I mean, not just the slapstick and the violence and the whatever, they had the parodies, the satires, but they tried to do clever little intros for each show. Nasty being the best one. I love this one.
Checkmate. And why not?
Checkmate! Bollocks to this!
I've always loved that intro.
I want posters of all of those.
Yeah, I mean, I love the music. They changed the music to make it horror, and it's just great.
And I don't think young people will ever quite get what, like, there were horror movie intros like that on a lot of made-for-TV horror movies, and you know, like, I don't know, things like that Elvira would do, and that, like, it was very of its time and very
the weekend horror hosts that have stuff like that.
They really captured that feel.
Yeah. So they were trying stuff like that. It wasn't just the four guys sitting around the table beating each other, which was always fun, but all these surreal clips would be put in there. They'd go places and do stuff as well. They'd have these intros, themed episodes, which I thoroughly enjoyed. You know, it did open up a new era of sketch comedy, I think. I mean, great as things like the Pythons were, and the Terry Gilliam stuff made it surreal and different. This tried to do yet more, you know. So yeah, and only ran for the 12 episodes because they all had other stuff they wanted to go and do, and
I'd imagine these episodes were a lot of work because there was, I mean, a lot of stagecraft in these. Like I said, not just bringing in animals, but puppets and sometimes puppets just for skits that were just, you know, like the camera would just pan over to like a box of matches, and then that box of matches would be a puppet, and it would just go, "Don't look at me, I'm irrelevant."
That's right. Yeah, I love that. I love that stuff.
Where they had was a carrot and a piece of broccoli ice skating in the dishes.
Yeah,
you know, like miniatures and pyrotechnics. I think they put too many pyrotechnics in a stove that was supposed to just kind of a bang when he lit it, and they actually like one pyrotechnic guy put the pyrotechnics in, and then another guy didn't realize he did it, so he stuffed it. So when Rick lit it, the thing blew up on him, and they actually slowed down the footage because the look of shock on his face was genuine.
Oh, there was pyrotechnics. There was people crashing through roofs and ceilings, people getting hit, stuff collapsing, buildings blowing up. There's a lot of physical comedy in it. They must have got quite bruised and hurt at times, but they didn't care. They were like, "This is great. We're doing this," you know. Like and Vivian particularly had all that great stuff. There's compilations of his best bits on YouTube of all the stuff that he did. But here's one of my favorites.
Kicking his own damn head down the road.
And again, I showed that to the missus who'd never really seen the show, and she went, "That's terrible. There's nothing funny about that." I went, "Come on, it's hilarious."
It is hilarious.
Yeah, there's more like that. We'll show. Oh, that's the first time we've had a warning about video. Anyway, yeah. So we'll show a few more clips before we wrap. But so Courtney, are you still trying to get in, Courtney? I don't know.
Having some problems today. I'm frozen. Courtney can't get in.
Courtney may be having browser problems because she's got the link. So let me just send it to her again.
If you'd like me to, I can send it to her.
That's okay, mate. You can talk. You can keep talking.
All right. Yeah, that's my favorite guy, Vivian. Man, he was the greatest. And I always thought that. What's the straight guy's name? I always forget his name. Mike. Yeah, I always thought that Neil, Vivian, and Rick were all like separate from him. You know what I mean? It was really weird.
Well, he actually was. He was a new guy to the. He wasn't part of their stand-up group or any of that stuff.
Yeah, he was new to them. Yeah.
He was auditioned and came in, but he did really great. He made appearances on Absolutely Fabulous. I think he played the ex-husband. But yeah,
he was on AbFab. Yeah.
But he was new to the group, but they said he kind of just slid right in, and because they were all doing before they were even doing television stuff, they were doing like small theaters and coffee bars and that sort of thing.
Clubs.
Anywhere there was
we've learned, strip clubs named after gargoyles. Very strange.
Gargoyles. Yes. The Raymond Review Bar. I may or may not have been in the Raymond Review Bar. That's to remain a secret.
Look, man, don't confirm or deny. Just tell the truth. I have been in.
Well, it could have been comedy night. I mean,
I have introduced you to my mother
with my wife. So hey,
Oh, I'm in.
Courtney.
I've been trying. I tried on the wrong thing. I tried on my iPad because I had it all set up.
It never works well on iPads, does it?
Yeah, it doesn't work at all.
Well, you got to download the app for it now. They have an app for being a guest.
On this one too? It's
actually no. Wait a minute. I forgot. Our man Brian uses something totally different.
He talks to you. Yeah.
Well, hi. I missed all the Motorhead and the music stuff. I was like trying.
I can play it again for you if you want.
No.
Yeah, play it again.
Yeah, screw it.
I just
stuff.
hi.
If I can find the right one.
Welcome to the house of fun. Now I've come of age. Welcome to the lion's den. Temptation's on his way. Welcome to the lemon brush, lemon. I want to do when I was 7. Catch a horror train. A freeze brain gonna drive you insane. Stop and think about it. Well, Johnny simply makes my day. Let it all calm down. Oh, let it all calm down.
I just wanted to say hello to Sophronia over on Rumble. We don't often get chats on the Rumble side, so hi, Sophronia. There's also a Reza685 trying to tempt me to click on a link there, so I'm not quite sure what that's about, but hello anyway.
Oh, it's Lemmy.
I did it. I got the
Funko Pop version.
Funko Pop.
Let's make you bigger.
I'm
Funko Pop Lemmy. There he is.
Yeah, it's still on my list of things that I need to buy.
It's cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice, lass.
They have never gotten into the Funko Pop thing.
Yeah, blame Mark D with a C from Sunday Night
I've got
Geekery.
one.
He's gotten me into them. I have like John Waters, Alex Trebek. I mean, the most random ones. Cindy Lauper, Snoop Dogg.
John Waters and Alex Trebek. That sounds.
I've
awesome.
only got one, and it's somebody from Squid Game.
I like my.
That one's everywhere.
A little bit more realistic. You know what I'm saying?
I collect them. I've got a bunch.
I
had a coworker that used to play pool with Lemmy. I was a bit jealous of him.
My friend worked at the Rainbow, where he used to hang out.
Got a super chat there, Big Daddy.
Well,
on YouTube.
Our buddies from the I'll get that in a second, mate. Thanks. Our buddies from the Rock and Roll Rowdies, Wilco, Granny, and Mal. They knew Lemmy really well back in the day.
I know. I always want to talk to them, like off.
Back in
the
the club they used to hang out in London, where all the roadies Speakeasy, where the musicians went. Yeah, they knew Lemmy pretty well. In fact, Wilco was tour manager for Motorhead for a while. But, great to have you, though, Courtney. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I had it's like really, really high winds outside and snowing, so.
All right.
It's been a little crazy today, but. And I'm gonna have to leave at 5 of 5, just so you know, or like 5 minutes of, because I have to get somewhere and it's the road.
Well, I'm glad you could make it. And did you watch the young ones back in the day? Or
no? Okay, no. So I
When did
watched
you see
them. When I didn't see an episode until I was in college, and my boyfriend all through college had dual citizenship. His mom was British, and so when we went, we would go every summer and stay in London near like the Earl's Court tube stop, and that show, they still showed reruns. There were only I remember there were like 3 TV channels. I remember being like, what do people in England do? There's like no
we got
TV.
a 4th one in 82 when this show this season.
Maybe there were 4 then by that point, but I
to get
remember.
televisions with an extra knob with an extra position on the knob, you know.
Yeah, but anyway, my boyfriend in college like turned me on to that show. He was like, "You're gonna love this," and I, of course, all the musical guests and everything. And Vivian is like the funniest thing. We had a friend that we called Vivian that looked just like him in Boston.
So David Glenn's asking, why does he keep hearing a crow caw? Does somebody have a parrot or possibly a crow as a pet? I can't hear it, but
it's me. Yeah.
Okay. So it's a question answered. Thank you.
It's the Invisible Man. Worry not.
I'm still invisible. I keep restarting my camera. I want to answer the super chat with a quote from the young ones.
So our good friend, Legalize Adulthood, $10. Thank you, my friend. We're definitely going to do another Who stream soon. It's happening. Christopher, do you want to take this one?
We'll love the young ones. Anyone for some lentils, which I reply to, it's your turn to make the tea, Vivian. Yeah, it's always my turn to make the tea. We had an agreement. You make the tea, and I take care of the goldfish and plants.
It's a goldfish.
Yeah, and would you have me cook this the first night? Tea, lentils,
Sausages
goldfish and plants.
and goldfish and lentils. I fulfilled my part of the bargain. So thank you.
I might have screwed that up a little bit. But
No, you
did a good job.
Spot on, mate.
Good job.
Spot on. Thanks to Legalize. I have a video clip for that. It's Neil and lentils.
This self-sufficiency thing really is amazing, Rick. Like, we sow the seed, right? Nature grows the seed, and then we eat the seed. And then, after that, we sow the seed, nature grows the seed, and then we eat the seed. And then after that again, we sow the seed, nature grows...
Oh, shut up! Shut up! Shut up! It's pathetic! I mean, what about radical magazines? What about kicker boots? Can we glue them? No, we can't, can we? The beauty of your plan, Neil, seems to rest on everybody being really into seeds.
No, Rick, you don't understand the timeless wonder of the whole thing, right? We sow the seed. Right. Nature grows the seed. Then we eat the seed. Then we...
Right, now shut up!
Bloody hippies.
He was like my second favorite. Second favorite character. He made me laugh.
One Neil or Prick?
Neil.
They're so distinct, though. I mean, you're kind of forgetting about Mike a little bit, but Rik, Vivian, and Neil are so distinct.
Yeah.
And yet,
you get a few drinks in me, and I become all four characters. And again, a lot of people have no idea what I'm talking about. You know, it's like, but I said at one point, what was it? There's that scene where Rick's looking for his half an apple, and he goes, "Mike, did you eat it?" Mike, well, if you're gonna sin, you might as well be the original.
That's
What
right.
does that mean? I don't know.
Well, this is it. It's just say these things. I don't know, but shut up, shut up, Neil. But yeah, some great stuff. We do have a couple of clips left. The first episode has Neil a giant pot of lentils. Each episode deserves its own show, but we can't do it. But later, I mean, after the show, the guys went on to do a lot of other stuff. We can't cover it all. Some maybe
I want to do
shows.
ab fat.
So Filthy Rich and Cat Flap were they kept some of the anarchic stuff going on this one, and then Edmondson and Mayall did Bottom, which was slightly different, but still that same dynamic between the two guys, you know.
Didn't they take that on the road as stage plays?
They did, yeah. Big success. I think it was like 3 seasons, a stage play. There's just like two kind of guys trying to make it in London, sharing a flat, whatever.
There's
of course, Blackadder. They made great guest appearances in Blackadder, which Ben Elton mostly wrote, of course.
I have never watched Blackadder.
Oh my god!
I know.
Well, tell you what, Courtney, go back and watch our first Cult Comedy Crew because it was all about Blackadder.
It was all about Blackadder.
I think that's why I didn't go on because I didn't
and
Do you know if this is true? Did Rowan Atkinson's really have that lisp, and he did Mr. Bean because he didn't want to do the lisp anymore?
It's possible, yeah. He has a bit of a speech thing, yeah.
I know this.
But anyway, Rik Mayall, possibly the most unforgettable guest character on any of the Blackadders.
Mind if I use your phone? If word gets out that I'm missing, 500 girls will kill themselves. I wouldn't want them on my conscience. No, they want to be on my face.
The Lord Captain Flashheart. And then Adrian Edmondson had his appearance as Hermann Goering, I think it was. Some of my oldest and blondest friends. And he's rabbiting on about the sanctity of the noble aviators. We're all warriors together, and then somebody shoots him. I can't remember who. Shut up! Well, I think it maybe be Flashheart. I don't know. Somebody shoots him. Shut! What a boring git, you know. And then we covered Bad News, of course. Warriors of Genghis Khan. What a great video.
Warriors of Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
I've got that on DVD. A friend sent it to me because she knew I was a big Young Ones fan, and I hadn't seen it. And it's been a while since I watched it. Now I want to revisit that.
Yeah, it's great. The whole Bad News thing's brilliant. There's a lot of footage out there and documentaries and stuff. Kind of had their thunder stolen a bit by Spinal Tap, but they were making it at the same time and they released it first. So, and they're more hair metal than trad metal, so there's a difference. There's a lots more stuff that these guys did after the Young Ones. They all had extensive careers, writing and performing. I mean, we mentioned, and all the other comic strip people. That spawned French and Saunders and Absolutely Fabulous, and you name it, show after show. It was a whole wave of talent. It's like the punk era. A whole wave of new talent came out.
Didn't French and Saunders do a tampon commercial in hell for the Young Ones? Was that them?
I think that was them. Yeah.
Well, that was. See,
Yeah.
I watched them at like different points in my life. I have to go back and rewatch.
They spoofed a lot of commercials in it, and they spoofed safety commercials like, don't drive on the pavement. Remember, think once, think twice. Don't drive on the pavement.
my girlfriend and I went as Patsy and Adina one year for Halloween. I was Patsy, of course, with the vodka bottle.
That was some of the best parts of the old Saturday Night Lives was the commercials they came up with, man.
Oh, they were so funny.
They were great. Yeah.
The toilet one, where the love seat toilet or whatever.
My favorite one ever was John Belushi talking about little chocolate donuts, the breakfast of champions. He's sitting there, and they're showing him doing Olympic events. You know how big he was, right? And he's sitting there. He goes, "Yeah, when I was going for those medals, I logged a lot of miles, and I downed a lot of donuts." Right? He's got a friggin' thing of chocolate donuts all poured up in milk, and he's smoking a cigarette during. This guy's an Olympic athlete, right? It's fucking hilarious.
Did somebody just post it out on Twitter? Was that you? Because I just saw that.
Not sure.
Who are you speaking to?
Did you post it on Twitter?
No, I didn't.
I just saw that that came up on my.
I have been sick. I have not been on Twitter very often at all. I think yeah.
So a couple more clips, which as I prepared them, I'm damn well going to play them. This is prime Rik and Vivian squabbling. I just accept it. Oh no!
Oh no!
Did you know there was a Young Ones video game?
Oh, I didn't
know.
What?
What platform was that on?
No way.
Came out in '86. It was on the Commodore 64, the Amstrad CPC, and the ZX Spectrum.
So it was like a floppy disk.
Yeah, it was an old.
We had a Commodore 64.
It came out forever ago, but yeah.
That was one of the things Neil used to say because he didn't swear. Oh, floppy disk. Yeah, poor guy, put upon guy, but we love him.
I'm the only one that does anything around here.
Right.
I think I do have a very Neil-centric clip again. Here's another one.
Oh, well, it's a strong opening, certainly. I don't know the dear. Sounds a bit too much like, will you go to bed with me?
Well spotted, Vivian. What do you think instead?
What about darling?
Darling bank manager.
No, not bank manager. It's far too crawly bum lick. Tell it like it is. Put fascist bully boy.
Darling fascist bully boy.
That's nice. Yeah, so far so good. So what do you want to say?
Well, basically, I want to ask him if I can have, like, an extension on my overdraft, but I know there must be a better way of putting it than that.
Well, what about, give me some more money?
Right.
You bastard!
Don't you think that's a bit strong?
Neil, people like that respect strength.
Yeah, you're right. Darling fascist bully boy, give me some more money, you bastard. Love, Neil.
A rare example of the lads working together.
Oh my God.
You missed the end bit though when he says, end it with boom shanker.
Yeah.
What's that mean? Means may the seed of your loins grow in the belly of your woman.
That's a screenshot from the game.
Oh, I feel like I've seen this.
Wow.
Completely brilliant. I'll smash the video recorder.
And I would have not known back then that was what it was.
Look at the skeleton on the bottom right hand side.
Yeah.
Vivian did like to smash things. He did eat a television once, I believe.
I love that
smashed
fight scene where he like pinches him and he just goes like swinging. Reminds me of me and my siblings fighting.
So he bit a brick and it exploded. That was what happened.
That's right.
Hey, speaking of the skeleton, are you guys aware of the fifth young one?
Yeah.
No.
Have you?
He's in the background of a lot of the scenes.
Is it the skeleton?
No, it's this just weird shadowy looking guy whose head is always down. He's just sitting there and he's just so unobtrusive in the background that nobody notices him. But if you look for him, you can spot him. There's a fifth young one.
He's just sitting there. Okay. Good catch. So one more example. I think this might be the last clip I prepped because I couldn't find the other one I was looking for. But this is the episode Bomb, where a large bomb drops through the roof of the house and Mike wants to sell it. But Vivian has other ideas.
Pregnant.
Vivian's pregnant. That's it. Vivian, well, it just was a big fart in the end.
Why won't it go off, Mike? If we sold this bomb, you could buy Cliff Richard. Vivian, we
Will you stop it?
What I need is the drill, the hedge trimmers, and some ordinary household bleach.
He's determined to make that thing go off.
Get the hell out of the handle for that sledgehammer.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, what was that? The game? What platform was that on again? Sorry.
It was on Commodore 64, the Amstrad, and the Sinclair.
You play those on Steam now? Do they do that? They put old games on Steam?
Probably not, but you can emulate them.
I was fixing to say there's got to be an emulator for those old ass games.
Oh, you can get an emulator.
So I just remember the Commodore 64 having to type in some thing to get in. It was like written on the. I don't understand computers.
I had one of those Commodore 64. Used to make music on them. You could make early electronic music on them.
Load, parenthesis, name of the program, parenthesis, comma 8, comma 1.
Seems right.
So we're going to get wrapped up because I'm running out of clips, and I think we've. I mean, it's a show that I've always loved and I look back on fondly. I loved it at the time. I absolutely adored it. Like, couldn't wait for each week to see what they were going to do.
I told someone in the chat I would show them my John Waters Funko, if you don't mind.
No, do it. Hang on.
I went and grabbed it. He's holding the
pink flamingo. Yeah.
And then I've got I had to get Alex Trebek because I auditioned for Jeopardy. And then I have a whole bunch more, but these are my favorites. And then Munster.
I auditioned for Hollywood Squares, which means I'm just not as smart.
Alex Trebek, you say?
I
forget the rest, but your mother's a whore. Yeah, you're still. I'm just going to leave you there for the rest of the show, Courtney.
Walter, don't you want to come? My dog's fast. He's like, no. He's under the covers.
Forget it.
No,
I'm over here.
Yeah, so I love that show. Very influential. Probably a little bit overlooked now, but I'm glad that so many people on the panel and in the chat today remember it and have come here to celebrate the show. So thank you for doing that, everybody.
Oh,
Thank you for having us. I honestly consider a lot of who I became, especially as a teenager, is the fault of the young ones. This is obviously an example of how to behave and dress. Said my 6-year-old mind.
Yeah,
these are cool.
I mean, it was one of those shows that it was still back in the day when everybody anticipated it and watched it at the same time because that's all you had,
They hyped the hell out of it. It was one of the first TV shows on MTV at that time. They didn't really have television shows on MTV. They were still playing music back then.
It kind of fitted, though. It fitted the ethos.
Oh, yeah, it did. It was fantastic. Yeah, we love it.
It was better than, what was it, Remote Control.
Oh, gosh.
It fit in with Just Say Julie, though. That worked out, but our favorite, again, I opened with this line, it's our favorite in the house. Every once in a while, somebody will just go, hands up, who likes me?
That's right. Yeah.
And if I've been drinking, why don't you like me? Because you're a complete bastard.
We didn't even
he
get
tries to kill himself with Vivian, can you actually kill yourself with
You do that so well.
laxatives?
The accent.
We didn't even get to
Great
some
meal.
of there's so much stuff we could talk about, but we're out of time, unfortunately. But what a great show. Just such great anarchic moments.
Yeah.
You have to promise me in front of everybody that you're going to do AbFab one time.
One of these days, yes. I have some ideas for future ones, some of which are quite interesting. So
I want to hear that you're going to do Saturday Night Live one day. The original,
way down the line because that's such a big one.
but the original,
Man show.
not for primetime players, have to have their own damn show, bro.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
them.
I would probably want to just talk about that era, though. Just certain era, the 70s, probably.
Not too long ago, watched the first episode again with host George Carlin and musical guest George Harrison, who just showed videos.
George Carlin was the first one? That's cool.
Yeah.
my feeling about the next Cult Comedy Crew, which will probably be in February. Have you ever watched a TV movie called Evil Roy Slade?
No.
Starring John
No.
Aston.
John
Okay.
Aston or Sean Aston?
John Aston from 1962. It's like Blazing Saddles before Blazing Saddles.
Oh.
John Aston, as in Gomez Adams.
Yes. So look at
Oh.
that Evil Roy
Oh.
Slade. It's available
Funny.
on YouTube for free.
I am gonna. I want to
it.
look that up. That sounds really cool because I love John Aston.
The premise is that his character was raised by buzzards in the West because his parents were dead. And he's a gunslinger. It's got Henry Gibson in it, Mickey Rooney, Dom DeLuise, Milton Berle. He has to try and he's evil Roy Slade, but he has to try and change because he falls in love with a girl. But he can't walk without his guns. That's one of the scenes I remember. He takes his guns off and he can't walk properly without them. He keeps falling over. You know,
his balance is thrown off without
cat if you tie a sock around it.
So it was like
sounds amazing.
It's like Blazing Saddles, but before Blazing Saddles. So I actually thinking of doing a show on it because I've watched it recently and I thought that was funny. That was quite cute.
There's a
So-
school
Say the
teacher
name of it again?
character.
Evil Roy Slade.
Not to be confused with Big Jim Slade.
Not to be confused. So Davina said Evil Roy Slade, made for television Western.
I'm gonna look it up and see if I can find it and watch it. Do we know where we can watch? I mean, I've got my DVD set of the Young Ones, but do we know where we can watch the Young Ones on VOD? Where
They're
people can
all
find it?
on YouTube. Every episode's on YouTube.
Every episode's on YouTube.
Not
It's
quite the
awesome.
greatest quality, but they're all there. Yeah.
Well,
And also his performance at Comic Relief is hilarious. And I recommend looking up on YouTube some of the bottom the stage plays. People recorded the stage plays, and there are times where they just go completely off script, and it's hilarious.
I love stuff like that.
Yeah, there's a ton of great material came out of these guys, so check it out. And the future shows will touch some of it. But I'm definitely considering Evil Roy Slade. But, Courtney, thank you for being
I'm
here.
sorry. I have to go because I have to be somewhere by 5:30 and the
Right.
roads are bad.
So-
So,
Hey, well, it's
Take
great
care.
having you.
sorry I was only here
Courtney.
for a minute. You know,
We'll see you soon.
Quick
What are
and
you up
stuff.
to? Anything you want to plug?
I've done a live stream so far this year. I'm kind of getting back into it. Yeah, just my channel. It's Courtney's Fellowship of Oddballs, but you can find me. It's Courtney218, and it probably scrolled through the chat somehow, or I'll put it in there. And that's my handle on Twitter and Instagram and everywhere. So have a
check,
good one.
check Courtney out, everybody, and subscribe to her. Thanks for being here, lass. We'll see you soon. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
You can't see me, but I'm saluting.
I
actually
can't
have
see
to go
you.
to-
You're invisible, but I want to I'm very curious. Okay. Bye, guys.
Just a voice. I have to go too, unfortunately.
Yeah,
I've,
no
I've
problem,
been
Christopher.
working and I've
There you are.
been cheating. I've been working from home for my employer and doing the live stream at the same time. But it's very nice to see all of you. Joe's Atmosphere and Das Wolfen, especially. I don't get to see you guys enough because my eyes are bad. I couldn't read who the other guest was. I apologize.
Imperatus. We don't
That's
see
Imperatus.
Imperatus. We just
Yes.
hear him.
Imperatus.
The voice from the darkness,
Like that.
Imperatus.
He's our resident death metal, black metal fan.
Yes.
Awesome.
And
Right
and
on.
my
Well,
Elden
nice to
Ring
meet you.
buddy. And my Elden Ring buddy. So.
Keep making those movies, Chris.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, I guess before I go, if I may do my plug, check out The Quantum Terror, which just won Best Indie Horror Movie from Film Threats Award. Very proud of that. And
It's on Tubi, isn't it, buddy?
It is on Tubi. It's actually can be found on YouTube as well. There's a YouTube channel that gained the rights to it, so it is streaming on YouTube legally. Tubi, Amazon Prime, Apple TV, Plex, Filmzy, Revi, and there's another one called Scareplex. It's all over the place. People seem to like it. It hasn't been taken off any channels yet. And I'm currently working on Escape from Planet Omega 12, which is an animated series because I'm a crazy person. just gotta say, thank you for having me on the show. I'm so happy to be able to talk about the young ones because no one ever knows what I'm talking about when I bring them up.
Well,
And I
we
love
do,
them
and
so
we're
much.
glad you were here, mate.
All right. Cheers, everyone. Have a good night.
Take care,
Cheers,
man.
Christopher. Take
See
care.
you.
Thanks for being here.
Oos.
I'll kick him. There you go.
There you go.
What a great guy.
He kicked himself. He just walked out.
What a great guy.
Yeah, he's great. Chris is awesome. You guys should go check out the Quantum Terror.
Yeah, he does some good stuff.
Independent film. Support him, man.
For sure.
I
It's a
watched it
great
on
film.
Tubi. Yep.
So, gentlemen, thank you for being here and for all your wonderful contributions. Imp, you got anything going on soon?
Tomorrow night I'll be streaming with Brahma, their usual Tuesday night game stream.
Oh, what is the name of that
the
game? It's
Party
crazy.
Animals?
Party Animals. Yeah,
that's nuts, man.
it's stupid fun, especially with
It
that
looks
crew.
like stupid fun, man.
Other than that, hopefully Wednesday, as long as my co-host is up to it. He was sick last week. We were supposed to start last week. We're going to be starting my gaming stream on Wednesdays.
What kind of gaming?
Whatever we feel like playing at the time. I think we're starting off with a game called Remnant from the Ashes.
Oh, I've played that. Yeah.
You know, we got to the last boss, but at the time it was bugged and we never got back to it. So we just figured we'd start over and
Perhaps
go
you
from
and I
there.
should do an Elden Ring one then.
We could. We could. Yeah, we definitely could.
I stay as
Sick
far
thing.
away from Souls-like games as I
I was
possibly
fixing
This
to
is
say,
the
you guys
only
are
one I've ever
bastards
played.
Playing that.
It's the only one I've played. I'm quite enjoying it. I'm doing okay. So, but Imp's going to join me and help me out a bit. So.
I am. I don't know how somebody who's actually a couple of years older than me can put up with that kind of game right there.
They're not that hard.
It's not that it's hard. I just don't want to have to take that much time to learn something, man.
it takes
It's pattern
time.
recognition and shit. And I'm like, oh God, please no.
Yeah, but I'll give to their credit a lot of like the stuff you have to learn as far as pattern recognition. The telegraphs are so noticeable,
Right.
because everything's so much bigger than your character model.
Right.
Anyway, it's a good game and I'm enjoying it so far, despite the deaths. But Joe, my friend, tell us what you've got going on.
Oh man, it's on the channel. I always keep my lineup up to date. The next one will be some wrestling, WWE 2K19. I do 2 gaming shows a week on Tuesday and Thursdays at 10 p.m. Central Time. And the big one this week, though, is I'm going player versus player again in Madden 23. A gentleman named Twilight Linkable wants to take me on for a stream. So we're going to be playing each other in Madden on Thursday night at 10.
Nice.
Yeah. Of course,
Great.
the usuals. State of the Atmosphere, the Pop Culture Show, and the Brothers Hack the Matrix on Thursday. So, yep.
Well, go subscribe to Joe Everybody. Links are in the chat, as they are for everybody. But last but by no means least, John, my friend, what's going on? This, in the immortal words of Marvin Gaye. what's
Well,
going on?
I am basically in my last few days of actually doing stuff live on in the daytime because I start work on the 16th.
Oh.
Start back to work. So the next time you'll see me is I will be on Pop Culture Minefield, getting as far as I can possibly get in Uncharted: The Lost Legacy.
Oh, you've started that now, yeah.
Or not? Yeah, I've been it's basically Uncharted 4.
Yeah.
You know, so but so and that's the next time you'll see me. Of course, then I'll be on Joe's show that evening.
Well, good luck with the job, mate.
Thanks.
You know, well done and good luck.
I don't think luck's involved with him, man.
He has no
all
luck.
skill.
If
I
it
think
wasn't
it's all
bad
skill.
luck, he'd have no luck at all.
No, that's my shtick.
Right? I was going to say that sounds like Imperatus right there.
Thank you to everybody on the chat, both over on Rumble and in YouTube. Thanks everybody for watching and chatting away. Thanks for the super chats, guys. Thank you to my mods, D-Bud, Martin, Lord Thoth, and Davina. And if there were any other mods in there, my apologies if I missed you. Yeah, great chats today. Some fantastic contribution. I'm so grateful that you're all here every week to watch these very disparate but fun shows. Thanks for your support. As I say, we're over 1,300 subs now, and we're rising.
What are you
Rumble
doing next
too.
week? Do you know?
So next week, my initial plan right now, to be confirmed, is I want to do a show. I want to go back to doing, and it's talk and roll. It's only talk and roll show, and I want to do a show about legendary British rock drummer Cozy Powell, which is a show I've wanted to do for a while. Hopefully, Willie Fife and Colin Hart, the roadies, would join us on that because they knew Cozy very well. He certainly was a formative musician in my 70s and 80s of the stuff I was into. Massive metal and rock drummer. Passed away far too early. So that's the plan right now for next week. The week after, which would be the 22nd, will be Canon Film Club, and we're doing Cobra.
Oh, God.
So that's the
Crime
next
is a
two
disease.
shows. That is the
And
next
cheer.
two shows.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Beyond that, who knows? Other than that, I've got a couple of videos I'm working on. I've put quite a few videos out recently. If you're into Korean stuff and thrift store purchases, then you're in luck. Tonight, later on, I will be on Comics Division Monday Night Meltdown as usual. Tomorrow, Toxic Tuesday on 32 Flavors of Nick Visor's channel. It will be Rambo Part 2, or First Blood Part 2.
Oh, God.
With X-Ray Girl and other
You
guests.
talk about an over-the-top, crazy-ass movie, that one
Yeah.
right there. Good Lord.
And then just one other thing I'd always like to plug, which I always do, Saturday night, Bourbon and Boarding, me and Brahma Bull.
That's right.
Hockey and booze.
Your sports show. That's right. You
Yes,
should push
our-
that, man.
With the only
Our sports
I know-
show, me and John's sports show, is going to be on Saturday this week, by the way, guys.
So
Not
Davi-
Sunday, because
Right.
it's wild card weekend. The
So I
playoffs
think
have started. So
we do the only hockey one that I know of.
Yeah.
So Cozy Powell, as Davina points out, played with Jeff Beck, Rainbow, who I saw him with, Michael Schenker Group I saw him with, Graham Bonnet I saw him with, Brian May I saw him with, Whitesnake I saw him with, and many, many other groups. He was a fantastic heavy rock drummer. The only drummer I know that could do in a solo spot in each gig did the 1812 overture on the drums.
wow.
I rest my case.
That right there tells you he's got a huge drum kit, no doubt. You can hit
So-
that many different notes.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
So anywho, thanks again, everybody. Hope you all have a great rest of your evening. Maybe see you over on Comics Division later. And till then, stay well and keep on rocking. Have a great night, everybody. Bye. Peace.